Hello, y'all. I am back again. This video is going to be about silly mistakes that empathic people make. And when I say silly mistakes, it's a mistake or some decisions that we make or mistakes when we look back in hindsight. However, from making these silly mistakes, which are actually silly mistakes that can have very detrimental side effects, right? So I'm just going to run through some examples, right? One silly mistake that empathic people make is the way they take on responsibility, right? Taking on too much of it. And a lot of times, a lot of the responsibility in families is just thrown off on empathic people. So, what we do, we get in situations because sometimes we feel sorry for narcissists, right? And we feel like, oh, well, they're doing so much and this, and that. And we want to take some of that burden off them, right? But then it can backfire, especially in situations where you live out of state. And if you are super sensitive and you feel like you got to take care of everybody in your family and you don't want to hear the truth, as bad as it may hurt, what you should do is exit out of this video because I'm going to say something that's really going to be a reality check, right? Just because you're empathetic, it does not mean you are meant to take care of everybody. And in a lot of situations, a lot of empathic people are not even allowed to participate in their families' lives, whether it be their elders are in nursing homes, they got grandchildren that live out of town, nieces and nephews. A lot of narcissists will actually block you from being a part of even grandchildren's lives, right? However, let me explain something to you. A lot of times, empathic people pursue things that are a waste of time, right? And a lot of times we don't see that it's a waste of time until later. However, I'm here to tell you now, because I have so much experience dealing with people, kids, adults, pets, I have a lot of experience now, right? And it's not that you shouldn't be taking care of your family members. It's not that. But we got so many Americans and people in other countries, Europeans, mid people in the Middle East. I mean, you name it. People from many different parts of the world, right? And they do all these empathetic things and they taking care of their grandkids, they biological children, some of them even adopt children. I mean, you got cases where you got adopted parents that they so kind-hearted and empathetic and they adopt somebody else's biological child that grows up to take their life, y'all. That's how extreme some of these situations can get. However, the reality is, okay, you could take it all on grandkids, nieces, nephews, whatever you want to take on. But this is the reality. Where they gonna be when you crawling around on the floor and you can't stand up, if that's how bad it got for you, right? And we got so many elders that's locked up in basements. They got what you call them, bed sores on them, and they done raised 10 grandkids. But I'm gonna tell you something. When they look back on a lot of those situations, they knew from day one that them grandkids, they nieces and nephews, whomever they chose to take on, had bad, funky attitudes, right? And this may hurt some of y'all. You may not like it. You know, you've been around some kids and they grow up and they have all these different issues. And when you look back, you could say, you know what? I saw that in that kid. Okay. He or she grew up and just killed somebody for no reason. You saw that in him when he was beating the teddy bear up, stumping the teddy bear out. Okay. We got to stop acting like we didn't know something was wrong with them when they was little. But see, okay, we didn't know no better. We all had to learn. That's why we have these YouTube channels. But sometimes when narcissists are telling you no to be around certain relatives, even if it's your grandkids or your nieces and nephews, they doing you a favor. And a lot of times you going out and you paying all this money for these lawyers or whatever because you want to do something about it. Sometimes it's the narcissist's punishment to take care of those people. Because see, a lot of times the narcissist has had a grip and had so much control over these children that they're going to grow up and be other narcissists anyway. Some of them are going to be sociopaths. Some of these grandchildren and nieces and nephews are going to grow up and be rapists and murderers. They're going to be incarcerated anyway. A lot of them going to be on drugs. And I'm not wishing it'll happen, but you got to learn to just not feel like you got to be one of those empathic people where you always making a silly mistake. And those are the silly mistakes that we make. I've made them. However, value your freedom. Be very careful with taking for granted the freedom you have. Okay, somebody won't let you see your grandkids. But your youngest one in the family is just about grown now. Okay, if those grandchildren or nieces or nephews are in a situation where that narcissist is taking care of them and they're being financially provided for, sometimes it's God's blessing, right? Because maybe it's time to start a business. You might want to go back to school. And one of the silly mistakes that empathic people make is to think that because they're living on earth and living a long life, it has to be dedicated to always taking care of people. Y'all ever heard of a break? Okay, you took care of your elderly uncle or aunt. They passed away. You took care of them in your home 5-10 years. They're passed away. They're resting now. What you gonna do? Go out and get another patient and bring them in the home? I mean, what about a break? I mean, you got to remember, if you believe in a heaven or hell and a judgment day and a decision made once you are dead of where you're going to go, actually, that decision is made before you die, for real. That's why we got to be careful with thinking, oh, well, we could change everything at the last minute. Be careful with that thought process. But the Lord is not going to be like, well, you know what? You were supposed to do all of this and take care of all of these people. Because a lot of times you're going to take on people and do such a crappy job with it and become so abusive yourself, you will end up in hell helping this person. You got to be careful with that too, because you're taking on something that you can't handle, right? And when we take on things we can't handle, we can become abusive just like a narcissist can. But at the end of the day, we got to stop making these silly mistakes. I'm going through a process right now. When I tell you I have controlled myself, and when I say control myself, I'm talking about my temper, right? I've had some things happen to me, I would say over the past, going back to last May, I would say, okay, we'll say approximately almost a year, right? Some of these things that have happened, incidents, I'm telling you, the old me would not have been as calm and been able to tolerate it. Just recently, even going out of state to an immediate relative's funeral, right? Once you know about narcissism, you handle yourself different because you know who they are now. You know how they behave. You even know how other empathic people behave. I'm not saying everybody that's in this other state is a narcissist and all of that. I mean, some of them are empathic, very empathic. I'm sure of it. But we got to be careful with these silly mistakes. And I'm a prime example. I made some silly mistakes thinking I was being denied something because, oh my goodness, I don't have to take care of this person. Oh my goodness, they stay with another relative and not with me? What? But you know what? There is so much I could have been accomplishing instead of going through these grieving processes over people that at the end of the day, once the years go past, you're going to understand why it happened. Because this is why it happened. I'm going to tell you why it happened. You weren't allowed to take care of some of these people that you may have wanted to help more because the Lord knew that they was going to grow up and be assholes, right? And so the Lord is trying to get you away from these assholes that ain't going to help you, ain't going to do nothing for you. And the silly mistake that empathic people make is that we think that this ain't the reality. What I just said, we think that this ain't the reality. And then you got people that's going to be talking you into taking care of these people, even though these people got plenty of support in another state. And a lot of times people going to be talking you into doing it because they see the freedom that you got coming too. Ain't nobody crazy, y'all. When you have raised all your children and that youngest child is now a teenager or a young adult, and all your other children or anybody that you've helped raise, even if it's not your biological child, they're pretty much borderline grown now. For a lot of y'all, this will be the case. And then you're going to have people talking you into, well, go and pick up Uncle Jimmy's kids. You know, Uncle Jimmy and Auntie Betty just died. I'm just throwing out some names. These are beautiful names. You know, they just passed away and they left 8 of them down there in one of them southern states. And they got a bag of rice. And they gonna make sure they pack up the bag of rice in one of their backpacks and bring it to your house. Oh, they so cute. They got some nice new clothes though. Yeah, but do they have some freaking money so I can feed these 8 people? And these are the silly mistakes that empathic people make that narcissists make easier. A narcissist can have 20 children and not do nothing for none of them and not have a problem. But empathic people, the silly mistake we do, or the silly mistake that we make, is we overdo it. See, narcissists are underdoing it. They're not doing enough. Because if you got 20 kids, hypothetically, or less or more, and you're not doing nothing for them, then you're not doing enough. However, it ain't no more healthier to be an empathic person and be making a silly mistake. And remember, I tell y'all in another video, I do and I follow my own advice. I do and I act on what I suggest, right? And I got a lot of stuff to think about because I got a lot of stuff that's being denied to me. People that's out of state that I would like to be closer to, so I think. But see, that's me using that emotional thinking instead of not making that silly, empathetic mistake. And a lot of y'all, I'm going to tell you something. You're going to be taking care. You're going to be pulling in some of these kids. And you're going to see them kids got a bad attitude. Because the reason the kids got such a bad attitude is because a lot of these little kids is being around too many narcissists, too many sociopaths. Then the narcissists go get in a relationship with a psychopath. They have the financial means, but they're missing the emotional means. And I'm going to tell you something. That's why I told you earlier, sign out of this video if you don't want to hear this. You're going to be taking on some of these kids that's really ran by almost the devil, pretty much. And you're going to be sitting up in a house somewhere getting your ass beat by these kids that grow up. Because the silly mistake is for empathic men and women is thinking that you got to take it on. Okay, we living in times now where the ending is not so happy. This ain't like them old fake fairy tales. So as empathetic people, we got to stop making these silly mistakes. Look at your situation and look how beautiful it is. Be very, very careful with trying to take on full responsibility of people that narcissists are actually working actively to keep you away from. Sometimes it ain't just them keeping you away from it. The Lord had you under a protection. Because the Lord is like, I'm getting ready to send you a husband. Right? I'm getting ready to send you a business. In a year, you're going to be purchasing another car. In about a year and a half, you're really going to have a real solid savings account that you don't have to keep going in and touching. Or if you do go in there and touch your savings, you don't come out completely broke where you can't pay your rent or mortgage. So we got to stop making these silly mistakes. And as a disclaimer, I don't mean to offend anybody, but you don't have time to ruin the rest of your life. As an empathetic person, I can guarantee you this. You wasted some time and a major portion of your life has already been destroyed by narcissists. You can't make the silly mistake of continuing to do that to yourself. Leave people alone. Let them do what they want to do. Let them say, okay, well, you can't see the nieces and nephews and grandkids. Leave them there so at the end of the day, that narcissist, they get their ass kicked by those kids when they grow up. Let them have it sometimes. Find something else to do with your time instead of making the silly mistake of thinking you got to take care of everybody and everything, especially when you don't even live in the same state a lot of times. You're not even in the same state. So the Lord has already proven to you that he's already put you under a protection from day one. That's why he doesn't have you in that state with them fools. Let it go. And I got to tell this to myself too. I can't make silly mistakes when I'm already at this point of freedom in my life. That narcissist may not deserve the freedom that you deserve. That's why they're the caretaker in this situation. Okay? I love y'all so much. Remember this, okay? Because I want the best for you. Continue to love, but don't make the silly mistake. You don't have to make these silly mistakes anymore. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. Bye.